All right, everybody, welcome back to the Aptitude Outdoors podcast. Thanks for tuning back in. And today I'm going to be talking about bow hunting with the Ranch Fairy heavy arrow setup.
This is the Aptitude Outdoors podcast, where we interview conservationists, hunters, anglers, and outdoorsmen and women to bring you the greatest stories, information, and advice from the best in the world.
So if you go back a couple episodes in the distant past, you'll see an episode with the Ranch Fairy. Man has a lot of acclaim on the internet for the bow hunting world, good and bad. So I was curious about what he told me about on that podcast, because before the podcast, I did a little research because he was going to be a guest at the summit I was at. I like to be well informed, so I did a little bit of reading, watched a couple of his videos. Didn't really know what to think of this heavy arrow system because honestly, as I've told him, when I started bow hunting, I bought a bow and I bought the cheapest arrows I could find and I shot the shit out of them. That was my process. I shot them and shot them and shot them until I was accurate at about 20 to 40 yards. I could hit a kill zone. Many years of practicing to get to that point. Shot him. I did kill a deer with that setup. No problems. Couldn't even tell you what my draw weight is. Probably close to 60, 65 pounds because it's in pretty okay shape and they're pretty tough to pull back. So I'm going to guess in that 60 to 65 pound range. Just shooting a regular compound bow, Bear, Divergent. Bought it because it was in the price range that I wanted and it was kind of light. So that's how I decided to get that one. About $900 bow. Figured I want something that could last me a long time. So I love that bow. It shoots great. I love it. Play with it all the time. So I went out on a limb. I started talking to Ranch Fairy about this setup. Kind of did a little more research. He sent me the videos that I should watch to kind of figure this out. He sent me a test kit and I shot through it. Every combination possible, heavier field target tips, all the way to the lightest, different spines on the arrow, 200, 300, or 250 and 300 is what came in the kit. So I shot through all those until I found the combination that worked best for my bow, which is kind of like his whole premise. And I will be honest with you, it was a little confusing for me at first. Very much when I'm learning something, I like to have all the details. I'm very like step oriented, and his videos are very informative, but there's like a lot to take in and they're not necessarily step-by-step like walkthroughs. So there's a little bit of figuring out on your own, which also isn't a bad thing, you know? So I just shot and shot and shot. And then when it came to the point to order the arrows, I called him and made sure that I was doing the right thing. Walked me through the process, got me set up with what I needed. Super appreciative of that. It was awesome. And it was intimidating because it's new and I want to get out there and hunt. That's part of the reason why, not only because I was just traveling a lot and busy, I didn't get to get out and hunt because I wanted to make sure I had these things set up accurately, tuned in how I needed them. So I shot them in my yard. I only did them out to 20 yards because I wanted to get out there, got as accurate as I could be in the shortest amount of time at 20 yards, where I felt confident to shoot a deer. Both deer I've shot, including the one this year with a bow, were probably closer to like 10 to 12 yards, which is ideal. I'm not going to complain. So I just want to be accurate to 20, especially in the tighter woods and stuff that I'm hunting and cornfield edges. Just not comfortable shooting that far. So it's a fairly simple process. You're just shooting a lot of arrows. It's not very complicated. I wasn't, overwhelmed. It's just a matter of getting off your ass, going outside, shooting at the targets. I got the 150 grain broadheads. Then I ordered the easy button arrow kit, whatever it's called. I have the paper floating around somewhere, whatever. And They are not cheap arrows. I mean, we're talking like $160 for 6 arrows, which the ones I was buying before were like $40 for 6. It's kind of a sticker shock. But if you're going to do something, might as well do it right. I've learned that lesson the hard way too many times. So we'll step back to my first deer. There's a little mini doc I made about the hunting process of that. You can go watch it. It's called The Echo Will Fall. It's on this YouTube channel, the Aptitude Outdoors YouTube channel. You can find it. It was fun to film, but you know, I'm not a self-hunt film kind of guy. It's just not my thing. I like making documentaries and stuff, but like, it's just, I don't want to take away time from learning about the animals and hunting. It's very frustrating to me. So like, I just don't do that. I don't care if you see me shoot a deer. There's hundreds of channels like that. That's not what I'm here for. I don't really want to glorify shooting an animal and watching it die on camera. Like, it's not my thing. So the first deer I shot with a bow, cheap arrows, cheap broadheads. This is with my nicer bow. I don't know. I consider it nice. I don't know if you would. Whatever. Full pass through, vital shot, double lunged him, down. 20 yards for me, 30 yards for me. He just dropped over completely dead within a minute. So, you know, that boosted my confidence a lot with bow hunting. And then didn't get a deer last year. Then this year I went through this whole range fairy arrow process, and I was kind of nervous because it's like you're starting basically from scratch. So I did it, went through it, go out there to hunt. I'm in my saddle, my homemade saddle. Also, you can watch a YouTube video on that. I love that thing. Yes, it could be better, but there's already a video on that. I won't go into detail about that.
Wake up early before the sun comes up. Yeah. Then you drink a little coffee, fire the gator tail up, then you hit it on out where no man goes. Gator tail.
Well, the first 2 days I saw deer, but they weren't in range for me to shoot, or I couldn't get a clear shooting window, or it got too dark, whatever. Third day out, shoot, or I'm getting ready to hunt. Go out there first thing in the morning, buck first thing in the morning. I don't know how he saw me. He walked up on the edge of the wood line. He was probably 30 yards away from me. On the outside, there's a bunch of brush in front of me because you're shooting on a wood edge. He's coming up to his scrape, and I don't know how I was not moving. I don't know what, the wind was not against me. Like, I don't know how he spotted me. Those old big bucks are not stupid. So he took off, whatever, first thing in the morning, bummed. Had another buck come up under me in my saddle. Literally the first time I ever had a deer walk directly under my saddle. And we'll call it in the vein of ethical hunting, didn't shoot him. I didn't know where to shoot from directly above for the vitals. I mean, I had a picture in my head, and then I have this racing through my mind of this new arrow setup, a little bit less confident because I've tested it, but it's in my brain. And so by the time he got far enough away from me that I felt confident in shooting, where he was directly below me. And then as he walked away, he was facing in a straight line with me, with his body. So, I mean, I could have hit him, but I didn't necessarily know where to hit him to kill him. So by the time he got far enough away to turn a little bit broadside, or even just like quartering away a little bit where I was comfortable shooting, he got covered up by a bunch of brush. He was a little buck. He was probably a 1 to 2 year old buck anyway. So it was like, I would prefer to shoot the larger one that I saw earlier in the morning. So whatever, I was still bummed. And later in the day. Most days, as I talked about with my friend James in our last podcast episode, it's kind of like I'm wrapping up by 9, 10 in the deer stand because it's just like, I don't know, that's just historically when people that I've hunted with have always gone in, or I don't know, there was no logic behind it. It's just when we stopped hunting. So I was like, I'm not going to do that. I don't have anywhere to be till later in the afternoon, so I'm just going to sit out here until I have to go. And probably about 10:30, these deer start running around in the woods, rutting, acting like psychopaths, having fun. They're way off in the distance, this buck. The bigger buck is chasing these does around. I can see him. It's a 10-acre woodlot, but I'm up high in the tree. The leaves are already gone. The area I am hunting at on this year I was hunting at is like the buck brush area. It's furthest inside of the woods on the eastern side of a woodlot. He was on the far other side, which is a little more open, and I could see him through the other side of the woods running around chasing these does. And he chases some does over towards me, nowhere where I can get a clear shot at him, probably about 30, 40 yards off, but in that thicker brush. And I'd cut a few lanes from my saddle, 360 around this tree. So if they did come in those areas, I could shoot. So this doe runs across the field. There's probably a 20-acre gap between the next woodlot across the cornfield. She runs in there, whatever. I watch this buck run around for a while. My heart rate gets under control, and he kind of moseys back. The does kind of disperse, and he loses interest. So he probably goes and beds down somewhere in the middle of my woods, or is running around in fields chasing other does. And then out of nowhere, this other doe comes running back across the field, which I'm assuming a guy next door was probably hunting and spooked her. So he probably spooked her back to me. And then she comes right up to my stand, basically. She comes up through the southeastern side of the woodlot, and I'm up in like the middle of the eastern side of this woodlot on the edge. She comes moseying up, and she mills around a little bit, and she gets kind of near my window. So I've already, seeing her, I've already pulled my bow off of my bow hanger up in the tree, knowing that I've screwed up enough times to learn my lesson to get the bow down as soon as you see the deer and not wait, spooking many deer. So there's a lesson there. So she comes, she gets probably within 10 to 12 yards of me. She's blocked by a tree. She's doing this and that. I see her walking in a direction where she's going to walk through a shooting window. So I full draw. I practice holding my bow at full draw. I exercise so I'm capable of doing this for long periods of time. And I'm holding it probably about a solid minute. I'm holding my draw. And then she walks into a spot. All the brush is clear. It's mid-morning, so it's super bright. I can see everything clearly. There's no brush in front of her vitals. And then, I kind of swing a little bit. She pauses. Her eyes look right at me. I focus on her vitals, and I make the decision to shoot the arrow because she was very close. I felt super confident. I see the arrow hit right behind her, essentially, shoulder. And the whole point with this Ranch Fairy arrow setup is not to shoot through bone. He definitely made the point to tell me that is not the point of his arrow system. It's not there to shoot through bones, but it happens often enough that hunters hit bone because deer move. They're moving targets. They're not static. When they drop, that can push their shoulder blade up to cover parts of their vitals. And if you hit the shoulder blade, the arrow, if it's not heavy enough, isn't going to go anywhere. It's just going to lodge into their shoulder blade. So, I tested that theory. Her shoulder blade comes back. The arrow shoots in. I can see the back end of the arrow with the fletching sticking out just barely. So I know it penetrated all the way through her body. She jumps up in the air, takes about 3 giant leaps, makes it about 40, 50 yards on pure adrenaline. And I see her legs come up in the air, kick, kick, kick. Done. Over. I can see her from my tree stand. She's dead. Snap the arrow completely in half. So I'm out like $30 out the gate. Probably more if you consider the broadhead. But we're talking like $60 gone. But that's okay. That's, You have to be willing to take those losses. I've broken many arrows just practicing, and lost them in cornfields with soybeans. That's a whole different story. So I give it a solid 15 just to make sure, she could have gone down and still been alive. I'm just letting her expire. As I'm doing this, the little buck that I saw earlier today comes in and starts sniffing around her, and he kind of realizes like, hey, she's not doing well. So he just kind of takes off. I wait for him to leave another 15 minutes until he's gone out of hearing, out of sight. I go down, fall. She's done. I backtrack the blood trail because the arrow is nowhere to be found. I find the back half of the arrow broken in half. Never found the expensive part with the broadhead in it. It is buried in the ground somewhere, I'm sure, or snapped off and buried under twigs or something from her flailing around.
Hey, what's up everyone? James Appleton here, co-founder of Absolute Aid. Welcome to the Seek to Do More program. This program will help you help yourself by developing the daily habits that will elevate your entire life. Over the next 30 days, you'll complete the doers list every single day. And the doers list includes 1, do something physical. 2, follow and stick to your diet of choice. 3, read a real book. 4, further your education on purpose. 5, dedicate time to your spiritual life. And 6, dedicate time to your hobbies. So if you're ready to take a structured, proven approach to build the daily habits that will allow you to get the most out of yourself, your time, and your life every single day, the Seek to Do More program is your blueprint. So make a choice, commit to yourself, sign up below, and let's get started.
It worked. What can I say? I upon further inspection, I did not hit her shoulder blade on the side facing me. It went above it, missed it, went through her ribs, just busted one of the ribs up pretty good, through the other side, through her other ribs, hit her, what I would call her forearm. I'm not a deer biologist. Shattered the bones in her opposite side forearm, and that thing is gone forever. So there's 3 points of contact with the deer, bones shattered. When I went to clean the deer and process the deer, the forearm was broken in half. I mean, she wasn't going anywhere very quickly, regardless of if the arrow placement was good or not. The front leg was completely shattered. So that's pretty much proof in the pudding of what he's been saying. Not that I doubted it. He's done all the research and I have not. So I am absolutely sold on this. I am not a Western hunter. I'm a Midwestern hunter. I don't plan on taking 70-yard shots with my bow. I'm sticking to the 20 and 40 range max. 40 is like Hail Mary, end of the season. I haven't seen shit. I'm confident enough to make that shot. That's like my max. But 20 is my bread and butter all day long. These arrows are now going to be a staple. The impact power that it provided to that deer is insane. It did not make it far. I mean, his whole thing is 50-yard tracking jobs. That's like his kind of like his catch line. I shot my laser finder. Pretty much damn near 50 yards is about how far she made it. I'm telling you what, the part that makes me most nervous about hunting, day or night, is having to track that deer for hours and hours and hours and potentially losing that deer. So the cost of an arrow, even if you're paying $30 to $50 an arrow by the time it's all said and done, this is not like all the other stuff I do. This is not a budget-friendly game, but the payoff is potentially much higher. You should still be practicing for accuracy. This isn't an excuse to get lazy. You should still be shooting your bow and getting as accurate as possible with these arrows. With how they're set up, you can still shoot field points and stuff, but with the correct weight, which, you know, there's Range Fairies channel has all that information. I'm not going to reiterate it because it's a little, you have to, it's a process. You have to go through it. But I would say it is worth it because the chances of you, if you are shooting accurately and practicing, I mean, there's plenty of things that can go wrong still, but if you're putting in that time and effort to be accurate, ethical hunter, I would say the payoff is you're spending a little more on arrows. They should last you a long time unless you break every single one that you shoot. I've already busted 2 of them up because I'm an idiot. I mean, I broke the one on the deer. That's not my fault per se. The other one, I shot the damn fletchings off testing out the broadheads. That was just stupid. So I'm out of quite a few, but I think it's worth it. I will be shooting with these from now on. Probably next season I'll order a couple more, but arrows should last you a long time if you take care of them. I mean, they're not going to last you forever, but they're going to last a while. And if the opportunity or the point being that if you can get the deer down as quickly as possible and it dies as quickly as possible, it's just better all the way around. You're not working as hard. You're not having to track these deer. If you do get a bad shot, it will shatter bone. You can look at his Instagram page. There's countless pictures of deer that he has taken apart or pigs or whatever, shattered bone after shattered bone after shattered bone. It's not the end goal isn't to shatter bone, but it is, he calls the plan B is plan A because they're going to do weird shit. So I'm not a salesman for you. I'm not a Ranch Fairy salesman, but I have been converted. I will be hunting that from now on. And at the end of the day, it's all about ethical hunting. Take that how you will. There are plenty of unethical hunters out there. I do not like to associate with them. I do not find it funny or whatever, or I don't, these videos where, people take bad shots on deer and they're limping around and shit. Like, I'm not here for that shit. I'm here to kill the animal quickly, efficiently, effectively. So that's all I want. So I can eat it. Been eating it ever since. Delicious. And I just did a video on how to process it yourself, which will save you money if you literally just have a fillet knife at home. You can do it yourself. So I hope this is good information for you. Maximum lethality is always the goal. If you want to look into it, again, it is not cheap. I'm not trying to sell you. I don't have any, discount codes for you to use for these arrows. Go look at the website, Serious Archery. Just look up Ranch Fairy online. If that's a rabbit hole you want to go down, it's going to take a minute to figure this stuff out. Probably a better idea to wait till the end of this hunting season to kind of get into it. I know we're already in full swing here. It's probably a better idea to wait till the upcoming spring or whatever when bow season's over to start playing around with this stuff. But keep it in mind, these heavier arrows do some serious damage. So think about it. Test it out yourself. Don't take my word for it. I will be hunting this way from now on, and I hope you guys learn something. That's what we're doing here at Aptitude Outdoors, trying to learn, trying to get better, trying to be the best hunters, fishermen we can be. And I appreciate everyone who listens to this podcast. I'll be back soon with another episode, gearing up to go to Florida. As much as you guys have heard me bash Florida, now that I'm fly fishing, I'm excited. I'm going out. I'm going to be, it's a vacation, but I'm going to be fishing my ass off. Also doing video editing, which is not really a vacation, but that's what happens when you run your own business. You gotta do shit you don't want to do. So appreciate you listening. Be back soon with another episode. Hey, thanks for listening to the Aptitude Outdoors podcast. If you're getting anything out of this, if you're learning something, if it's helped you in any way, go down in the link below and buy me a coffee. Throw me $1, throw me $2. We greatly appreciate it. Just using it to keep this ship afloat. So thank you very much.